Than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick, you heard it. They're so good together.
A, you watched it, and B, you decided that you were going to sponsor a show at the time when there are no flights. Are you mad?
No, I'm not mad at all. I just figured I started watching the show and I really loved it, and I actually likened it to like the fourth emergency service. It was something that we needed in our community, where we could talk about things openly and not have to worry about, you know, how we're going to come across in the wider society. And you were asking for sponsorship. I thought about it for a while and I thought, well, we may be able to help each other out. I may be able to get some exposure and I'll help you guys out at the same time, and then we all win. Everyone's a winner.
Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say. From the three best comedians in the UK, they've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw, bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker.
Les told me, if you touch my child, I will kill you. All three of them are brought up in the same house, but no, son, go back, Daddy's on the phone. I know it's 216.
Stop it with your belt, Eddie. Get your belt back. He's walking in on you like that. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Get your belt out, man.
I've changed my opinion now, Eddie. You can go.
Make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw, bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag
no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith.
I just want to know, do you recognise it? Do you feel it?
Oh, absolutely. But before I didn't recognise it. I just felt as a mother, a wife, a sibling, a daughter, that I was managing a lot of things and making sure that I was in control. I could do that. All I have to do is get up earlier and manage that. And sometimes you think, gosh, look at me, how great am I? I can get up at 5 and I can walk the dog, season the meat, have everything ready to go for the rest of the day, write a play, do this, come back, do all of that for such a long time. And I think the time I used to get my break, I used to wait for my year to go to Jamaica, because I live in Jamaica part of the year, and just let it all go.
Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick, you heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say. From the three best comedians in the UK.
In my world, black men don't cry, and I've seen that so often through this. It's amazing to me, you know. It's like, wow. And because of where we come from, what we do and how we feel, I know for a man to do that, what must be going on. I think there's a lot of trauma. I think there's a lot of pain. And I'm living it. So if you look at the boss lady will put it up in the comments now. If there's anybody out there, whether it be for you, your child, whether you want to talk to somebody, then it's
I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say. From the three best comedians in the UK, they've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw, bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
No jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far because she's a superstar. And
Greetings and welcome to hashtag no joke. Hopefully you're well and you've had a fantastic week. I've certainly had an interesting one, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Hashtag no joke is an investigation from a different perspective on the week's news, some of the issues that we wished people would talk about, things that you've written in to tell us you want us to talk about. It's fully, completely, totally interactive, which means that you must put your comments down. And when you do put your comments down, they will be read. You can have conversations between yourselves, and some of them will be read out on here. Let me say thank you very much, Jill Nichols from Travel Counsellors, who sponsored us. We hopefully have some good news in the next couple of weeks about how long we can keep this going for. Thank you very much to Island Flavors, who are offering a 10% discount when you book and you say hashtag no joke. I'll tell you more about that later. It's a bit look like one flew over the cuckoo's nest this week with the number of calls that we've got. Is best way I describe it. If you've seen the film, then you know what I mean. Let me introduce the other inmates in this particular facility. First, let's go with Angie Lamar, please. Praying for us this week. Greetings to you, beautiful. How are you?
Good afternoon, Eddie. God bless you.
Did you pray for me? Do you mention my name when you're praying? Just tell me.
Listen, I got my knees when I pray for you, mate. I call on Jehovah. I say, Eddie, Nestor,
the Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. Greetings,
come on down. Greetings, sir.
Let's. I don't know which character Curtis would be in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but he would take up a lot of space. How are you, Curtis?
I'm very well, Robbie. Sorry, Eddie, my bad.
Done. Angie, I went to this week.
Morning, Angie. You look gorgeous this morning.
No, she does.
No, Eddie, you didn't say it. You had your chance. I'm saying it. Happy before you look, my queen, my princess.
Thank you.
Friends love you. They've seen a vulnerable side to you. Curtis is the man.
All right. Have the children this week, Eddie? All right? Will we have any surprises?
I've locked them in the cupboard.
Okay.
Oh no!
Last time Lisa did that, she appeared in her own little slot after. So I'm waiting for Kiddy's corner.
Yeah. Well. Did you have the naughty step in your house, Angie? By the way, did you believe in that?
Naughty step? No, I didn't have the naughty step. I had go in your room if that's the naughty step, but no steps because they would wonder.
Yes. Yes. Right. Well, we'll get to that. Look, there's a lot to talk about this week. Look. I was going to do a menu, but I'm being told off because you took advantage last week. In my vulnerable state, you let the show run on too long. I'm going to be
do it this week.
Big Daddy's back. Can you see? I'm here, right? There's no mucking about. We're on time. We're buff. Right.
That's yours.
Let us start with the newest thing. And please, if you're watching at home, first of all, greetings to you. Please comment. We're reading the comments. And we don't agree on anything, I don't think, apart from to be here at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. Now, let's go. Famalan. This is what everybody's... I'm getting messages all the time. Eddie, can you please discuss this? Eddie, yeah, you can wear that. I put my Dominican thing over there today. I'm wrapping myself in my cloak of power. Okay? Now, Jamaica, yes. I'll tell you a story.
I haven't seen one of those since 1986. Go on, Angie.
She's got it in the room with the dolls.
The dolls of white Jesus. All right.
I don't have no white Jesus.
Jesus loves you, Angie. Okay. So look, this is the type of foolery that causes us to run out of time.
Sorry, go on, Eddie. You were saying in your succinct way.
Concentrate. Right. Why is everybody getting upset? It's a comedy show. It is lots of people saying it's the modern day version of The Real McCoy. So why are people getting upset? BBC Three, released a clip of some of the stuff you might expect to see. Here is a little bit.
Yes, and welcome back to Countdown, the game show about spelling and ting. Sean, tell me, girl Carol, which letters you want on the board?
All right then, Carol. Ooh, well, I'm Carol. I can put tool picnic in your barrel. Give me a vowel. And another vowel. And a consonant. And a vowel. And another vowel. And a consonant. And a consonant. Give me a vowel. And another vowel. And a consonant. And a consonant. Now take 2 vowels and give your boom boom skin.
Put it on the board. 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 And a vowel. And a consonant. And another vowel. And a consonant. And a vowel.
Sorry, I didn't think that was funny. Angie. Angie was the one who was adamant that we had to do that this week. Me and Curtis were a little bit unsure.
No, I wasn't unsure, Eddie. You're on your own.
I'm selling you out like Robbie would sell me out. I'm selling you out.
Okay.
Right. Angie, you go.
Okay, so we look at this sketch, right? And when I first watched it, I was thinking, okay, where are we going? Because the premise itself is not a bad premise. It's quite funny that you could do Countdown, Jamaican version. Now, the problem that I have with it is that it ticked or tried to go through every stereotype that there is of Jamaicans, okay? And then to heighten it, because you could have just have gone there with the stereotypes and we would have gone, well, you're pushing it. Not very clever. Could have got better jokes out of that. And then when the clock started to impersonate the man's private parts, I said, now you've pushed it way over and gone too far. Offensive, degrading, and unacceptable in that sketch, okay? So it's not that we're sensitive as Jamaicans, and you can't take the mickey out of Jamaicans. I don't believe that's the case. I think when you're doing comedy, that's all up for it. The problem that I have with this whole thing, and it's a shame that Famalam, who is in their 3rd series, is getting this recognition for this work, because they have been doing work that has been building really nicely for them. And I don't really watch all the series, but I've seen some of the sketches and some of them are very funny. Now, where this failed is that every generation, there's a new generation of talent that comes through that doesn't borrow back from the old generation that's gone before. So what should have happened in that writer's room, that they should have been protected as writers from the producers and also from the broadcast to say, I don't think this one is going to work. Somebody in position in the writer's room should have stopped that. And that's the issue that I had.
Well, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Comedy, as you know,
if a white person wrote that, we'd be totally up in arms.
Yeah, but a white person didn't write it, and white people didn't perform. It was written by young people, black people, performed by young black people.
I understand that. I said if white people had written it, people would go, oh my God, because people can't seem to think that it doesn't have to be just a white writer or a black writer that can offend us. A writer can offend us. The material in here went too far. That's why we're having this discussion, because it promotes every type of stereotype that Jamaica is always having to undo when it comes to it. When you want to do the language and you want to speak Jamaican, get a dialect in there. So when we hear here man, what man, here man, we hear those that language and we think, come on guys, we could do better than that. Then we hear the music, which is not even reggae in the reggae sketch of Jamaicans, it's soca. So there's a lot of things that I think should have been cleared up in the writer's room. And then when it went to broadcast, so this is the problem that we have at the BBC. Who is watching out for us? Who is caring, making sure that the presentation is correct? You've got all these people saying that they're working for this department, but yet in the last couple of weeks, a whole heap of stuff has gone through and no one seems to be recognizing that. And that's a problem.
Yeah, just only because I have to be a bit like this today, because somebody's told me we can put our program on Instagram, but it has to be an hour. So just bear with me, Angie. I'll come back to you. I was invited to the Jamaican High Commission to see, I think it was Bruce Golding, the Honourable Bruce Golding. I remember him talking out, wondering why he had invited me, but I reckon because I'm married to a Jamaican, perhaps that's why. But anyway, he said something that was really interesting, Curtis, which was that for an island of, 2.8 million people, that Jamaica excelled in anything. So whether
punching above its weight for centuries,
in culture, language, sport, it permeates through everything. But it also is very good at all the negative things. you know, all the horrible things, they also excel in. It is an island that is of extremes. What, as somebody who's earned your, I've heard you talk about all sorts of things on the stage, both of you, by the way, but are we now getting old, us three? What is it about that sketch, Curtis?
You two are very old, yeah? What we've got to remember, Ange, is they're young, and I remember, I don't know if Eddie will remember, about 6 years ago, they had a meeting at the BBC to say some rubbish about Real McCoy and what happened to the bun-up tapes, the deleted tapes and so on. That young guy who produces this show was actually there. And Famalam started online. And I remember him uttering the words, I'm not bothering with the BBC. I'm not waiting for the BBC. We're doing our own thing and we're doing it now. And he went off and he created this show where Angie is absolutely spot on. The joke itself is so old. The narrative is so old and dated for us because we've been there, we've seen it. We've heard about the Jamaican man, over-sexualized, want his woman, want his sex, want his food. We know that story. This generation probably don't know that story. None of them on there are Jamaican or of Jamaican heritage, you know, and they are young. And where Andy's right is that they should have an older head in there, whether it's a script editor, whether it's a script advisor, whatever title you want to give that person, but somebody with a comedy brain to say, because the worst thing you could have told them, Picnic, is that the joke is old. That joke has been done. You give them 2 examples of where that joke, the routine about the big penis and the whatever has been done. That would wake them up more than us going, oh, it's outrageous. Because comedy is supposed to push boundaries. And
what about yes, I accept that. What about Angie's...
How come you don't interrupt Angie when she's talking?
No, I am.
When I'm talking, you feel free.
Yeah, but I have
Let me finish my point.
Today, though. Today.
Yeah. Yo, suddenly, what?
Why are you? But you're now getting all Jamaican on me. I feel threatened by you.
Because I'm a Jamaican. Is that why?
Yeah.
You are so offensive. As older heads, we've heard that joke. We've heard it so many times. We've seen it. That generation hasn't. So as young people, they think they're reinventing the wheel. Look, we've reinvented the wheel. If you ever talk to a Picnic about the music, we've all had this argument with young people when they come to us with the latest track, and we say, hang on, that's a sample from Michael Jackson's Off the Wall album. And they, what? And make you get in your feelings till you have to go and dig out vinyl. And you know, when you're searching for vinyl to prove a point, you're angry because young people want to be able to say, we created this, we're the first. I don't want us to jump on one sketch. I don't want us to all as a community jump on one sketch. It's a learning curve for them. They will go back. And if I'm hoping, because there's some talented people in those sketches, real talented people. And if they all have a voice, I doubt they all have a voice right now. When we did Real McCoy, everybody was allowed to speak up. Everybody was allowed to write. You couldn't get nothing past Luella Gideon. You couldn't get nothing past Leo Muhammad because we talked as a group. Now, everybody worked on stuff as a group, and somebody there would have said, nah, that's absolute rubbish. It's an old joke first, and it's a terrible narrative that we're going with. I don't think they have that person in place. I think they're being led by an egomaniac at the moment, and his call is probably the loudest call. That will change. I just don't want us to bully them. They're young, and I want them to flourish. I really do. Yeah, I hear you, Angie. I hear everything everybody else is saying as well. It's not what we want to see, but if we shoot it down, where's the next? And remember, as Real McCoy finished, nothing came. So they're kind of walking in the wilderness when it comes to comedy. They have no comedic arc. They've not got no...
And so far, some people have never heard of them until this sketch has gone out.
It's great publicity for them.
It's great publicity for them, but it's also damaging. And what we've got to also remember is that, again, apology has to be made. You have to make an apology. You can't go in the defense and say, because I've heard some of the feedback, which has been, well, Africans haven't had their say. Once upon a time, they were bullied in the playground by the Jamaicans, and now they've got their voice. Now they've got their say. So some of the stuff could be old, but what we have to understand, and we all know we can all do this, is when we write with intent, we can write with intent to deal with a situation, to deal with anger, to deal with pain. We can write with intent. And so it's not so much that, oh, this is old, because it's so old. But at the same time, it's not that it's new to another generation, because that means every generation is going to repeat this. It's not going...
Especially what you understand, Ange, they have no history of it, because comedy in this country, for black artists anyway, is very stagnated. It's very kind of hit and then nothing, and then hit and then nothing. Whereas in another culture, from the Jewish culture, go right down, they could name 1 million Jewish comics that know each other's jokes because it's passed on, it's taught on, it's moved on. With us, it wasn't like that. It isn't like that.
Yeah, up until we came. So in that generation, they can call so many different names right now. They can call so much historical events. And you know what you could do? You could call a Jamaican friend and say, what do you think of this? Yeah. That's not even putting an editor on the table. That's just
but be
saying.
careful that we're not saying that all Jamaicans agree, all women agree, all young people agree. I think comedy is supposed to be controversial from my point of view. I'm not a big lover personally where we're being a clown for other people to laugh at us. I think that when Big Nasty did The Weather, it got more tweets, more followers than anything else because he was saying it, not to me and you, but to people who wouldn't have heard it before. So I think, I just want the comments to come in. Tell us.
I think also as well, Eddie, you got to remember as well. You can say also that comedy is supposed to be funny. Comedy can be educational. Comedy can be social commentary. Comedy can be responsible. There's very layers to comedy. There's very layers to show.
But one of the layers, Angie, is slack. Comedy can be slack, and that's what that is. It's cheesy comedy. You know when you're in a room and everybody's searching for the out. What's the out of this sketch? How do we get out of this sketch? You get lazy. And that's what happens.
When somebody comes up to you tomorrow and says, oh, Curtis, is your thing as big as that clock that's on the countdown? What are you going to say then? That's what comedy did.
Wow.
That's what it does.
I don't know, Ange. I hope nobody would.
Ask your mum.
Well, that's what it does. It leaves it out there. So tomorrow, when you don't go in the playground, remember when Jim Davidson?
But he's not
remember when Jim Davidson was cussing and saying, "Oh, chalky."
Yeah.
You went to school the next day and they called you that. Yeah, that's what it does.
And it
has to be corrected.
And I got it. Well, I don't know.
But it's out there, Angie. It's out there. I hear what you're saying, Angie. No one's disagreeing with you. But I'm just mindful that one sketch in a whole show, I haven't watched the whole show for a while, and I know there's some funny bits in that show. There are some funny bits in that show.
I said that at the beginning
because I've seen it all before, but I'm a grown-ass man, you know?
I said that at the beginning. I said that at the beginning. I don't want to see the
harder ones than this to come, Angie.
Shush. I don't want to see the show.
But we're not going to get it in the hour, Angie.
No, because I must get this clear. I don't want to see the show disqualified. I want to see them learn and go through. So the people who have now seen the Famaland will go back to see some of their old work to see actually they're credible. They made a mistake with this sketch. Let's not crucify them.
Yeah.
Well, did they make a mistake? So that's the
yes, they did. Why are we here?
I'm not asking you, Angela. Everybody at home. Did they make a mistake with this sketch? Did you enjoy it? Is it the sort of thing that maybe you would have sent in your WhatsApp group? We're only 10 minutes in and you've sat back like that. Look at you. Look.
No, just good.
Right, let's move on.
Stop talking to us like we're children, man.
I'm glad that everything is back to normal. It's great. It's great. So listen, the Famaland one was the newest one. But as we finished, one of the super executive producers of this show, Mr. Henry Ord, sent me this. Take a look at this.
And we're looking.
No. So we're looking for the punch, sir.
And we're looking. Oh.
No, not that punch. Not that punch. Jeez. Okay, so what happened there? Let me apologize. I should have probably given a warning. I do apologize. Bear with me. I should have also told you that man for 15 or 20 minutes had been describing black people as pets, had been racially abusive. A number of people had attempted to stop him from saying what he was saying. His name is Billy Steele, 31, works for a construction company. He has now gone to the police and has asked for no charges to be brought against the young man who punched him. Now, to be honest with you, I joke about it, but I really did not want to play that punch. We tried to make a joke of it with Dillian White yesterday, but actually it speaks to the heart of what we're dealing with. Now, before I get a reaction from Angie and Curtis, I want you to look at this lady. I didn't know who she was before. Kelechi Okafor. She put out a video which has gone viral, which has probably had more people watching it than the actual punch. Take a little listen to what she had to say.
You should go out there and start punching racists in the face, but at the same time, I'm not saying that you should sit there while someone's calling you a pet and saying the most vile things at you, and you're just meant to have it. That's why everyone loves that video of the black guy carrying the racist on his shoulder, and now he's got a book deal, because you want to believe that in the face of violence, black people should be subservient all the time and carry you with all of your burdens. They should just carry you. I'm not carrying any motherfucking body. And in fact, I want a book from the guy who punched the guy in the face. That's the book I want. It should be called Chat Shit Get Banged Volume 1.
Right.
That shit get banged.
Right. So apologies again for the language, but I've got to tell you, some of the issues that we deal with, it's really, really difficult. I'll try my best and try better to warn you before they come out, but I don't think this is a kid's show, but we don't use bad language, and I apologize for that coming out. So let's go, Curtis, because I know what a 20-year-old Eddie would have done.
Yeah.
So
I'm outraged. I was outraged, horrified. I just couldn't believe it took them that long to punch him in the face. I just couldn't believe it. Now, that's what I was a bit like, whoa, but then they're smarter than me, because like you said, a 20-year-old me would probably be in prison right now, because I wouldn't have waited for no doors to open so I could make my exit. You understand? Those guys showed so much control. It'd be nice if we lived in a society where the community got involved, and as we're saying, racism, and everybody sees it and must address it. And we need people to fight our fight as well. They shouldn't have had to punch him in the face, because that train, yeah, if we're living with love and decency in our hearts, that train should have got involved. That brother should have been shut down.
Curtis. I mean,
yes, Eddie, but they didn't shut him down. People said stuff, but nobody.
Please
how?
Stop. You're an idiot.
If a trainload of people came in support and said we've had enough of this, come on. They shouldn't have had to let the brothers go through that level where they had to. And let me say, if Dillian White had watched that punch, he might still be the champ, the winner of that fight. That punch was clean. It was killing cool. If you watch his footwork, he was ready. Now, I like the way it was a deserved punch, and it wasn't him who dropped the charges. His mother made him drop the charges.
His mum
made
it.
For his father. He's a very privileged, rich
punch kills
man.
People. That punch kills people. That punch.
We can all go there, Eddie. It could have killed him. It didn't. Can we deal with the reality, or do you want to deal with what the fiction is? Do you want to deal with that narrative? I'm sat on a train and I'm being racially abused. I'm wrong for reacting to that abuse because nobody else is.
You hear her now as the big grey-back man. Would you have punched him?
Probably a lot sooner. Or physically had to. If he wouldn't shut up when I asked him to, then something else would have to happen. I'm sorry. Yes. If I said to you, please stop, you're offending me, I'm finding it offensive, and the community that's on that train didn't support me, I would feel so threatened and abused that I would have to lash out.
So you're going, that is worth you going to jail for. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Did I stutter, Eddie? Does that shock you? Does that shock you?
What? That
I'm going to sit on a train minding my own business, and you're going to sit behind me and verbally abuse me, my culture, my children, my grandparents, everybody. We're pets. Do you know where the pet is derived from?
So do
you know what that means when you're calling a black person a pet? So you've taken me to that point, and I'm wrong to react to it. Thank you. That's the world we're living in.
That's why her video is amazing and has just gone viral, because she says in a different way exactly what you said. Angie.
You see, the thing is, whilst the Black Lives Matter movement was happening, a lot of the young people were saying quite clear, we are not our ancestors. Now, what I believe they meant, without trying to take away from our ancestors, whereby we felt our ancestors did nothing, because a lot of history doesn't report on the people who died fighting in that time. So to say that we're not our ancestors, this generation, they're not playing. they're not going to turn around and walk away anymore. This man sat on the train and just went back to back, insulting. And I agree with what Curtis says. Who are the people that are around us? You know, and then they come for you. Because what happens is that you're not going to stand up for me. You're not going to stand up for us. So when we ask the people to stand up for us in the Black Lives Matter, that was just for then. Because here we are now. Somebody should have called the police. One of their people should have called the police. Because the truth of the matter is, this guy could have killed him. And yes, he could have gone to jail. It didn't work like that. When the guys were actually getting off the door, you can see Billy step forward like what? He pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And I don't know anybody or a lot of anybody that wouldn't stand up and say, you know what, bruv, this is enough now. And this is the way to deal with it. So there, he couldn't give charges, because if he's going to have charges are going to be brought against him too, because the racism that he was flaring
But there
up.
should be, no doubt, Angie. I think they should be in any case. Anybody who stands up and do that, it's incitement to racial hatred. It is absolutely something that should happen. Absolutely.
That's right. But you see, because we don't know who the young guy is, he had his mask on, we won't find him. And so it's difficult.
I really do want to hear from you. I've got to say, a 20-year-old Eddie would have punched him. A 50-year-old Eddie, when I get to that age, won't. I don't think. I think that I would think of my children, what I've got to do, how I'm going to answer.
Yeah, but remember, Eddie, you're a very articulate man, you know. You're a very articulate man. So you probably would have stood there having a conversation with that guy, quite rightly. Yeah? Those kids ain't got time for that. Yeah, to sit there discussing with a man that you say you've been on the train 20 minutes with that. If I sat down and had a can of beer, look at poor Diane Abbott. She had a drink on a train. The whole world took notice. Yeah? Now this man's racially abusing me on the Central Line the whole journey, and nobody?
You can't talk to him.
Stepped in to say that is abuse?
That's not somebody that you can sit and talk to. If you could sit and reason with him, he wouldn't.
No, but Eddie would take the time out to chat to him.
Well, there's no time for that. It's not everybody got to sit down and talk to and go, you know, what's happening here? And what's going this? What's bringing this up? Why are you doing this? Those guys were sitting there minding their own business. And you know what? There was some women on the other side. And I really like the fact that there are young brothers out there that feel like, you know what, you're not going to get to do that to our sister. And they went about their way. And I'm glad they had their mask on and they could go on. What I was worried about was that people filming it and loading it up without making sure that people's faces were protected. Because when they put the video out, they blurred out his face and they didn't blur out anybody else's face. So even in the media, they were protecting him. So think about, we have to save ourselves. And if you don't want that, don't do that.
So you agree? Chat shit, get banged.
Listen, Eddie, I say this now, right? I know me, right? And I know where I'm coming from. I'm a Lucian girl, come from Lucian, whatever. If somebody was stand up in front of me like that and made me feel threatened, I'm going to protect myself because I don't know what you're going to do. So I'm going to protect myself. Angie now,
threatening language.
Angie now, as a 55-year-old, if you came up to me and whatever, I still could drag you up. I still could do it now.
Not with those nails, though. Mind the nails, Angie. Remember the nails?
Once I call the police, I'll call the police. I'll call the police. I'll call the police.
Okay, let's leave that.
I don't want you to get
yourself. You need to get yourself in any
trouble. The police, you're scaring me.
Let's get the boss on to find out what people are saying. Greetings to you, boss lady.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Hello.
How you doing?
Right, darling. Good to see you. You look fantastic.
Thank you very much. You look fantastic too, as you all do. Greetings to all the listeners at home. The comments on Famaland have been really 50% each way. Some people have found it really funny and some people have found it really offensive. Rainbow Black says Famalam is reversed blackface with harmful stereotypes of Jamaicans. We are not illiterate. R&B City says we can't censor comedy. Leave the youths to do their thing. Candice James says there is a fine line as most comedy is based on stereotypes. And with regard to the punch, Heather says you can't expect black people to keep pushing up. You can't expect black people to keep putting up with this. Jane says violence is violence, irrespective of what a person says to you. And Glendez says Boris and Trump makes it open season for racism. Those are the comments coming in. Just to say, keep your comments coming in. Don't forget to like, hashtag and share.
Big up to sponsorship, Jill Nichols. I've put the link in the Facebook page. Please like her page. And if you're considering going on holiday now or in the future, please like her page. And don't forget the best parts. Put your questions forward to Angie, Eddie, and Curtis based on the issues that we are having today. Any question you like. And finally, there's a 10% discount to Island Flavors if you mention hashtag no joke when you're ordering their food. See you in 20 minutes. Bye-bye.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Just to reiterate there, 10% off Island Favors. Thank you very much, Jill Nickel from Travel Counselors. Without them, we wouldn't be here. We're looking at how we can monetize this. Angie has blessed us with the fact that she's going to be around. So we're looking at it. Apologies again. It just wasn't possible to get back to people. In fact, we need some help with administration. So if anybody wants to send me an email or a message, then we can talk about all sorts of things. And fingers crossed, we'll have the T-shirts sorted by then as well. Look, let's get on with today. So here's one for you, which is one of my bugbears, if I'm honest with you. So just give me a minute, right? We talk about Black Lives Matter. It's one of the reasons we're here, along with the guy behind me, George Floyd. And we also had before that Time's Up and Me Too. These were initiatives that were supposed to put women in a better, stronger, healthier place. We're reporting more sexual attacks than any time before, more rapes than at any time before, more revenge porn where somebody's with somebody and then videos them and shows it to them. Dating apps have seen more people attacked. At the same time, we're seeing fewer prosecutions, fewer convictions than at any time before. We are in a moment with sex. Barely a term goes by without a secondary school, having the case of a young girl sending pictures to the boy who said, if you love me, you'll send me those pictures. And now everybody in the school can see this. We are in a dangerous moment with sex. Now, to illustrate it, to highlight it, there are two things, right? First, I'm going to put a picture up. It's called Cuties. It's from a film that's about to come out on Netflix. Let's see that picture. Yeah. So this picture is about prepubescent girls who are in a twerking competition. It's French. The young girl is Senegalese. She comes over and she's fighting between a kind of I don't know, conservative home and whatever. I mean, everything I've read about the film tells was quite interesting, except that picture, which they've had to take down now because they've had 40,000 people try to follow them because it's a pedophile's dream, actually. At the same time, I'm lumping them all together because I want to give this a good 10 or 15 minutes, if you don't mind, Curtis and Angie. Angie mentioned a video last week, and she just threw it in there the way Angie does. So we had a look at it. I looked at it. I sent it to Curtis. And it's an amazing, the WAP video. Now, it's amazing because it's either the dottiest, nastiest thing you can imagine, or it's about empowerment. Again, just like the Famalan, it is possible for you to take both points of view. Angie, you have a young woman, a young queen that you've raised. Anything I say there upset you, disappoint you, you disagree with? Do you agree that we are in a dangerous moment? Because I might be getting old, and I better put this out there now. Sexualization is out there. Clothes that young people used to wear on holiday, I'm seeing them now wearing in the sunshine, walking down the street. I'm seeing bottoms, or literally the jeans cut. So, and I don't know if that's because I'm getting old. Talk to me, Angie. I need to hear from you.
You know, this is a really important subject, and the reason why I keep pushing to talk about it is because sometimes as a community we don't get to have this discussion openly. And years ago I wrote a play called Do You Know Where Your Daughter Is? And it was about a young girl who just called my radio show at the time, who said to me, Angie, I had sex with my boyfriend, and then some other boys came into the room and had sex with me too. Was I raped? And I said to her, yes, you were, my love, because you didn't consent. And I need you to go and speak to your mother about this now. So I say that to say why, that's why I wrote, do you know where your daughter is? Because here was a young girl phoned in a radio show to say to me she'd been raped, but didn't quite know. So when we talk about sexual abuse, we're not giving it the full length of discussion that it deserves and the area that it deserves. When we're talking about where kids are abused, somebody once said to me that kids are abused in anywhere there is children, there is a sex abuser. Anywhere where there are children. So if you go to even buy shoes, and when they said this to me, I was like, what? When you go to buy shoes and there's kids departments, that's where they will be because they get to touch the children's feet. And I said, what are you talking about? With all information like that, then she started to break down relationships. She goes, there's some women who are in relationship with men who know that they're going for their children because they know you've got young kids. And they'll be sitting in your bedroom, or in the child's bedroom, smelling their worn knickers. And I don't mean to be so graphic, but I need to explain it as it is. This thing is heavy. So when I see images of cuties and I see these young girls, I mean, it just saddens me because we are taking these young girls and we are putting them out there. Yes, they look cute. You know, when you see a little child on a video dancing, and the whole family is watching it and everybody's posting it. Somebody in a paedophile ring has got that on their system, your child. So when you're not protecting your child, it's going out there. So when I talk about WAP and I look at the video and Cardi B, great what you're doing, Megan, great. But this particular video where you're talking about what people know what WAP means is an offense. Don't tell me this is empowerment. Don't tell me that this is about women owning their sexuality, because you can own that in a different way. Because whilst you're being irresponsible out there with your music, guess what? Other people are listening to that thinking, oh, I wonder if that girl over there is like the girl over there. I'm going to try and find out. Putting that pressure on that girl right now who knows nothing about that lifestyle. So for me, when you brand it an empowerment, there are other ways that we can empower ourselves. That isn't it. That is gross. And you can't say to me that's the adult version, because every child can go into Google right now and go and see the uncensored version. You know, Cardi B and Megan, they can do that video, wrap themselves up, get into a car, full security, and go home, and left that stuff out there. And I know a lot of people disagree and think, no, you know, I don't hear anybody talk about men and their rap music or whatever their rap music. There's a responsibility that we have to protect our young girls, because men are going after them thinking that they're like these videos, and they're not, and they're putting pressure on them. And sexualization is rising, rape is high, incest is high, and in our community, we don't talk about it.
See, I'm minded, Curtis, to say that what Angie said there, it covers too much for us to be able to do in the way that we're trying to do. Because one of the things I've learned from broadcasting is, if we're going to talk about paedophilia, you do that. If you talk about
section it up, that was
if we use this, because it might be like mental health, something that we come back to,
and
we dedicate a program to in one shape or form if people want us to. But
we can break it down and talk about the aspect of protection, which I think is.
Well, we will. I promise you.
A lot about what we can talk about.
But that's not what I want to hear from
young
you
women
right now. If you don't mind, I need to hear from you right now as a guy who's got boys, and mine are younger than yours, right? So we can, quite often you do these things about what you tell young girls about men. But actually, if you don't mind, Curtis, if you and I talk about it from a perspective, because Angie's right, but it is also a choice. It is a choice for a woman to decide to use her body in the way that she sees fit. I may not agree, you may not agree with the choice, but fundamentally, it is a choice. I absolutely believe that. But I also believe it would be interesting for you and I to talk about what we say to our boys about girls.
Well, I'm going to be honest. When my boys were pretty much a bit older than yours are now, we had a conversation, and it was the talk. I suppose everybody gives it. It was the talk. And it was quite, I realized I was going in maybe a little too deep with them, but I wanted them to be clear. And we're very fortunate that we have a lot of strong women in our family, you know? And I hope, and I think thus far, we proved correct, the young boys in our family are very respectful of women. And I'm proud to say that, you know. But when it comes down to, I always think there's a reason I didn't have a daughter or haven't had a daughter, because I don't know if I would have that emotional maturity to allow my daughter to roll around society the way I see a lot of young women rolling around society. I don't know if I could, you know, get to that place where you're mature enough to trust and let her go out. As Angie said, I'm a protector of what's my family, my friends. If you are my friend, you're my friend for life. I'm that person. So the love of my life has 2 daughters, and I love them dearly. When I was discussing this subject with him, that a lot of girls their age are very proactive with they're very sexualized, very young. So whereas when I was younger, the man had to make a lot of the moves, and I'm not judging anybody, and I'm just saying what we had a conversation this morning. And my nephew is 24. And a lot of girls approach, but with that kind of sexualized approach. So it's not a matter of when we were younger and offer a girl a drink or, what, is it on? Is it on? What are you saying? What are you saying? And it's more about them pushing where they've learned about empowerment maybe, but there's another side of that is a bit slack. You know, you have to find out, are they being protected? Where have their story come from? Why they're so desperate to please men all the time? When they say, oh, I'm wearing this skirt, this little thing for me, to empower me. Is that the reality? Because the way you're seen in society is about you're approachable, you're easy. That's the way you're looked at. When you see any young, and I've got parents who were over-sexualizing their children at 7 and 8 and putting them in clothes that they shouldn't be in at 7 and 8 years old. They shouldn't be wearing. But like Eddie said earlier, he's a lot older than me. I'm a mature man. Maybe it's just me being an old fuddy-duddy. When I see a child in something that is so skimpy, you're thinking, this is a child. What are you doing? As Angie said about the videos you get to see of people videoing their children dancing and doing all manner of twerking at 7 and 8 years old girls. And you're thinking, why would you even think about doing that? And filming it to put out into the world. It just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of things in society.
And there's the damage later. You see, what we have is young people who feel like, yeah, this is really cool. Then that's in their teens, then their 20s. Then when they get to 30s, when you don't hear about them no more, and they're dealing with that silent pain, that destructiveness of how it manifests itself. We're dealing with that. You're dealing with people who are in counselling now because they're dealing with stuff that they did in the past that they think, I didn't want to do that. That wasn't something I wanted to do. So therefore, it's all right to say empowerment. I still think there are other ways that we can empower ourselves. And also, as well,
but again, about our generation as well, is that protection thing. I think that needs to be a mantra. You're having children. And I said it last week. You don't just have a child and just let it grow. You raise that child. Male or female, you raise that child. They are yours.
How do you do that when the child is an accident? Quite a lot of the time. You're talking as though people plan things, right? So you plan that you're going to meet someone, you're going to get married or not, and you're going to start a family.
And again, I'm talking.
I know people who have babies.
I'm speaking properly from you're looking at an ideal world. I know it doesn't exist. And I know a lot of children are in care and don't have that family structure. I know that. But as you said, this is such a wide subject. I can only talk from my reality and my world. I can't talk about being in care and what happens to those children. I can't talk about the lack of social service, the lack of mentorship, the lack of queens supporting other queens and letting that become something we celebrate and put it all under the banner of protection. We have to protect our kids. And sometimes when you're protecting somebody, you're protecting them from themselves, you know. Because there's a lot of young girls out there with daddy issues that want to talk to big old hard back man like Eddie. Can you imagine? Do you know what I mean? Right? And you've got to show them how to protect themselves as well. But that is something that needs to be legislated for. It needs to be something that is in the community where women can go, that they don't have to phone up Angie Lamar on a radio show. They've got a door that is always open, a door that they feel comfortable and safe going into. And I know they might exist, but I'm telling you, this aspect of it needs to be at the forefront, along with knife crime and along with us protecting our young people, because knife crime comes under that umbrella as well. Protection of our young people.
And the good information that needs to travel. When it's bad news, we all talking about what we're talking about today, Fam and Lamb, and because it got pushed so quickly. What would be interesting is to find that good information gets pushed just as quickly, so that people can go, right, although this is out there and it's doing all the numbers, you could also go here. If that's not you.
And bear in mind, Angie and Eddie, that's no mistake by Netflix putting that image out about cuties.
But they've stopped. They've taken it.
Yeah,
down.
I know, but when that decision was made, what I'm saying is the attention that attracts, and I like you. I've read some of the bump from the film, and apparently the film is a fantastic film.
It's won an award already.
Yeah, and that aspect of it is apparently my new aspect of it. It's more about the growth of young women, and rather than them twerking in skimpy outfits, that could have been the last shot they took of the film. But that's the one they used to create this kind of debate. Yeah, so when we use those images, it's not an accident, it's not a mistake. When we're looking at that video by Cardi B, if you look at the history of that music with women from Little Kim, Foxy Brown, Nicki Minaj, all of them coming up, the slacker they were, the more records they sold. The more they sold. And that's not an illusion.
Because their producers sold them that. So the men were selling them
but Angie, I'm not going to sit here and let you not give them some responsibility for what they're doing. We all have to take responsibility. Those women have chose to sing those lines, have chose to write them lyrics. Yeah, that's a decision they made.
What was the other option? What was the other option? It's like you say that, prostitutions go to prostitute because they chose to do that. No, what was the option? Some of them have starved and some of them don't have life. Some of them have no option.
Cardi B was a stripper. She was working in a strip club.
So the choice to do
that. Are you
that.
looking for Cardi B to be empowerment guru? She was working in a strip club. What about that girl who's working in a bank or working in a supermarket? What about that as your empowerment?
No,
why does it have to be a stripper, come singer, come rapper, and then we're horrified about the lyrics she's putting out?
No. Get this right. Some people are saying that this is empowerment. I'm saying there are other ways to empower yourselves. This is what I'm saying. Cardi B come from a stripper. That's where she's coming from. So this music video isn't a far leap for her. And for somebody to say to her, I can take you off that pole and put you on a record and make you be the one that everybody's talking about if you do this. So she's already in that place. So somebody has come and offered her something more. So they didn't offer her a scholarship. They didn't say to her, you know what, let me get you into a university because you got a brain on you.
And I guarantee you, if you offered her a scholarship, she wouldn't have took it.
No. You don't know that.
She would not have accepted a scholarship.
That's a judgment that you make.
Well, that's all I'm saying now. She made a choice to do what she's doing. You're telling me what was her other options? Her other options might have been to go and pursue education or get a scholarship. That could have been another option for her. I'm not going to let listen, men, women, we have people who are just not right-minded when it comes to furthering the empowerment of us. They're just not. That's not their bag. They want to make as much money as they can, as fast as they can. Like how young people are so materialistic now.
Every generation, we're gonna have the same story. Every generation.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, you stopped. I don't know why. First of all, we are gonna have to come back to this. We are clearly, and we're gonna section it. Okay.
You need to be sectioned. That's what happened.
That makes sense, and then we can talk about that bit. It's so broad, and it's my fault for opening it the way that I did. It's so broad, it's really difficult. So I promise we'll get that. I will just say, before we get the boss back on and get some of the text that I imagine are raging through there, my real concern is how it affects normal people and the people raising normal people. It seems from my observation that we have a very feminized society in that the majority of the kids are being brought up by women, the majority of schools are women, and that might be something to deal with as well.
You know
what? But also, why would Cardi B have this responsibility? She just wants to make money. Angie, a research recently done asked people, do they want to be a nurse? No, that was when we were kids. That's what everybody wants to be a nurse and clean other people's doo-doo. I want to be a millionaire or whatever.
Yeah, I get that. And that's why I understand that. And I know the choice is there. But, the fact of the matter is, these women are not dumb. They're educated people. They're not stupid.
you.
I'm not saying that they're in there. There are women who are making choices to do this because the opposite of life of what they're giving people is making it very difficult to have the same things that everybody seems to want in life. So if you go to work 9 to 5, you're not going to get the same things that somebody's getting who can just go out there in the night and make something quick. So that's been pushed. It's just like healthy food. Healthy food is expensive. How could healthy food be expensive when you want us to be healthy? Cheap food is cheap. So It's the same sort of thing whereby you're making life looking really glamorous to them, shortcutting it for a while. Because we're going to read about some of these women later. We're going to hear the whole story.
Definitely.
And we can't pretend that's not going to happen.
Already, don't we?
I'm glad you agree with me, Angie.
I promise you we will come back to this because we haven't talked about young girls sending pictures of themselves, people getting attacked on dating apps. What to say. We haven't
so much, Eddie. So many subjects to hit, man.
Yes, it's been a very emotive subject. Many people are blaming the parents and which parents allow their kids to do these videos. Donna Henry says, I don't remember feeling empowered by watching the Cardi B video WAP. We cannot present this image and expect others to respect females. Heather says, the truth of this is you need to educate your child, unfortunately, at a very young age, to arm them and teach them to raise the alarm. Michelle says, what parent allowed their children to do twerking in this day and age? This was paedophile paradise, seeing things like this. Arlene says, there is a difference between sexual empowerment and being sexually abused. It takes a full-grown woman to be empowered. And Rainbow Black says, children are having children and are still learning themselves. Comments are still coming in. Yep, very emotive. People are very upset about this one.
Loving those comments.
Loving the comments. Keep them coming in. Don't forget to like, hashtag, and share. Please like Jill's Facebook page. Without her, we wouldn't be able to continue. Also, Island Flavors, healthy Caribbean food. Don't forget you get 10% off if you mention hashtag no joke. And finally, keep your questions coming in for Angie, Curtis and Eddie. Anything you like related to today's topic.
Don't they have to put a love heart on it or something, boss?
I forgot to say that the first time. Put a love heart because there's so many questions coming in. I need to find the questions for the team, for the ACE team. Anything you like, put a love heart in. And we'll ask those questions.
No.
Relevant to the show.
Angie ain't got no closet, no skeletons, but me and Curtis got too many. Related to the show.
Related to the show. Don't forget the love heart. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very
Eddie, can I stress something very important?
Yes, Mum.
That I was told by a social worker. She said to me, when you say to young kids that if anybody troubles you or touches you, I'm going to kill them, stops them coming to tell you because they think that their parents are going to kill somebody and that their parents are going to go to prison. So find another way of explaining why and what you would do if you found out, other than I would chop up the man, kill him and hang him. You
come back, Angie. Come back. Come back in the room. Back in the room. Okay.
I went to my 6-year and he said to me, what are you talking about? We already learned about personal space, Daddy. We already know. So clearly it's something that I imagine the schools are very, very conscious of and talk to them about.
But have you had a conversation yet, Eddie? Or you leave personal space? Did you think that was something to talk about?
Yeah, no, I talked to him when he was. What I'm saying is the big one now. I talked to him when he was 6, but he had already had it at school.
Wow.
Okay. So they were ahead of me. So when we get these people getting upset about the sex classes at 6, I think it's about relationships saying no. I think the most disturbing thing that you said for me today, Angie, and I think the thing that I'm going to take away and think about how we can do it is the fact that she didn't know she was raped. And I remember in the 90s when I was in the posse, I wrote a sketch called No Means No.
Yes.
You're doing what you're doing, but you don't know. And I went around asking women if they'd ever said no, but meant yes. And if they'd ever said no, but convinced to say yes. I was amazed. So I wrote this sketch. So it's clearly something that we've been battling with for a while. And it's something I think it is worth giving some more time to. So I promise we will come back and we will talk about it. Now, look, I had hoped that we would have Julia Alexander on the show today. She's a careers advisor. I know that lots of people have had challenges with their GCSEs and their A-level results. And how do you fail an exam that you never took? I did see this because it's going to lead on to the next subject. By the way, make sure you get the questions in pertaining to today's subjects. Start it with a love heart and send them in. So here was a teacher talking about, she's a music teacher, talking about how she felt and how she had been impacted by the lockdown.
You guys might know I'm a music teacher, and I found that one of the best ways that I can process the whole transition to online learning and teaching is to write a song. So I wrote a song. I'd like to share that with you guys now. Here we go.
So it's like, I know lots of people must be feeling like that. I mean, it's great sense of humor.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think probably we haven't talked about teachers who had to go in with vulnerable people at home, and they've got to teach children, learn how to get them to walk one way, to be in bubbles and walking around in the uniform while they're doing PE and stinking up the. Thank you, teachers. I'm sorry we haven't said thank you to you before. But then, Angie, let me start with you.
You don't know, Angie. You don't know. Good.
It's all right. Go on, Eddie.
Oh, sorry. What have you learned about yourself in the lockdown?
That I eat too much.
It's a comfort thing, isn't it? Where's another chocolate?
I got excited. I got excited about cooking and just keeping everything together. But what I did learn was that the work that I'd learned and I did in theatres and stuff like that, I could transfer to Zoom. So I've been doing wonderful workshops on Zoom, stand-up comedy classes. I've been doing presenting classes, writing plays, and doing one-to-ones. It's been a real great learning curve. So that means that I could do that. So that was something that was very fresh.
How are you doing in your head?
In my head, I kind of feel like I'm okay because I walk the dog. So I get out. I could get out and exercise. So if I couldn't get out, then that would be a problem. But I didn't like the way people packing up the park though, because that was getting on my nerves. Normally the park is like mine. And then they come and sit down. I think, get off my land. Get off my land.
You're on my lawn. Yes. Well, Curtis, you've got that as well, haven't you, with the walking the dog?
Yep.
I've got a different question then.
No, ask me the same question. All right, go on. Give me the different question.
When one of the things that I've realized is that if you're living your life where in 8 weeks you're going on holiday, or in 6 weeks you've got this big show where you're doing this, or you've got a play or whatever, it's quite easy to kind of deal with whatever you're dealing with to get through to that. You haven't been on I think I was on a stage with you when we did the
last one,
ballet, the Lovers Rotten comedy one. I think we're going to do something in a couple of weeks' time, which is just to get you out of the house, me, you, and
thank you,
on the 6th of September. But can you see through this? Can you see a time when you will be at a packed Hackney Empire? Because I think this is what's holding a lot of people back. That they because 2020 is cancelled, isn't it, Kurt?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking at December maybe to get something positive. But as an individual, I think it's going to be more like that. I want to give a big shout to all the promoters, the comedy promoters, because this time you kind of realize there's some good ones out there, and give them a lot of love, man. Because it's hard. I don't know where they're laundering their money now, but they're going to have to fix up. Do you know what I mean? They're going to have to fix up now. But yeah, I've learned that I don't like people. I like lockdown. I like the space it gave me. I like the freedom it gave me, but I never want to be this broke again. That's what I think.
Let me just say again, this is something, if we can get the sponsorship, the t-shirts, and get everything together, it's one of the things I want to talk to. It's a really difficult balancing act between telling people what you think is the truth and scaring people. But for me, the truth is that we have a cold season anyway. So you're going to have a cold season.
But I wondered, with us wearing masks, will the flu season be as bad as it was reported to be? Because if everybody's wearing masks
in the shop, you're not wearing masks in your house, are you? We're not doing the shop. You're only wearing a mask when you go into a shop, because they're doing the Eat Out to Help Out thing, which ends next Monday. There's no mask. When you go to the park and whatever, there's no mask. I'm telling you, the flu season comes, because the
It's
flu
going to be
season comes
impacting,
as
is
the
it?
weather changes. Right. Then in October, what happens in October is that the furlough ends. So we're at the minute, it affects blue collar workers, if you don't mind me calling them that. It will now affect the people who earn 45, 50 grand a year, who pay mortgages, who have children, who go to. It's going to be a different kind of pain. Then in December, the end of December, you got this thing called Brexit, which we've all forgotten about. You're never going to get all the people go back to work who used to go into offices.
No.
You never, everybody's never all going back to work. Are you fearful of the future, Angie? Are you happy? Are you excited? Are you apprehensive? What's your feeling for the future?
You see, I'm not fearful. I don't live in fear, and I believe God's report, and I know that God is in control, and I think that we have been reset to learn so many different things about ourselves and to start to value what is important, because I think we were getting a bit carried away. You know, we run off into wanting this and wanting that and being this and being that. So to be able to sit back and go, what is really important? So I'm not worried because I can.
You were right, Angie.
No, because I can. But I said for myself. You asked me for me.
She's speaking her truth, Eddie. Let Angie talk.
That's how I feel for myself. That I feel that this is a learning, and we must be able to take a year off, tighten our belts. And I know it's going to be difficult for those in a recession and those who have bills to pay. I get and I understand that, but also I feel that don't give up on what can happen next year, because if it can happen this quick, something else can happen that quick. In a week, in a day. My dad always used to say, a telephone can change your life, a call can change your life. Don't give up. Still be optimistic.
What happens if they cut off the telephone, Ange?
Then go out in the street and just listen to what people are saying.
Okay. Thank you.
So what are people saying? Boss lady, this is it. Because you two talk so much. For goodness sake.
I know it's time. It's over now, isn't it?
Yes.
I made cheese and macaroni today.
Watch her. She's still going, you know.
Very calibrated, Angie. Right. Boss lady.
Right, a question for you, Curtis. What are your thoughts about our future events and what it will look like in regards to COVID-19?
Future events as in comedy events or just life?
COVID-19. What do you predict for the future?
I predict for the future, everybody's going to be a lot cleaner. We're going to wash our hands more. We're going to take more pride in our health and what we're giving out to other people. I predict that we're going to learn to love our families again. That's a journey, because we've been with them so often now. We've got to love them or kill them.
Good.
Oh dear.
Angie, many people are talking about how you educate your children with regards to women and respecting them. How did you educate your children with regards to how to treat women?
I've got a lot of female friends that gather around, and we invest in each other's daughters, you know, and mentor. So the different friends that we have around have an input into our children, even it's spending time with them because of the work that they do, to show them we don't have to wait for take your daughter to work day. We can do that anyway. And they can spend time with them so that they always have a group of people. I don't have any sisters, so they all have a group of people that they can always reach out to, and they don't have to come to me, because sometimes I can say, speak to that one, or my friends can say, speak to Angie. So we're building up a network around them that feels that they got some security that isn't always family.
Great, good, fair enough. Eddie, someone's asked if your son came home and said somebody had behaved inappropriately, how would you deal with that?
I would talk to him. I would have to talk to him, find out as much as I could, and be like a swan, really, or a duck, where everything in me would be wanting to go and put my hand inside the person and tear out their gizzards. But I would have to find out. My main priority would be that my son was okay. What happened? How do you feel? How do you feel now? Did you tell anyone else? Did they tell you not to tell me? That kind of stuff. So all the things that we know are trigger things, you know, that people would do. And depending on where that person was or what that person would do, I'd phone a friend. I'd phone somebody who doesn't take any dramatic action and ask them to come with me to talk to me because I'm emotional, aren't I? I'm very, as you know, I would want to go and kill that person. But that's why people who are the victims of crime should never have anything to do with what happens, and then it would go through a procedure. My problem would be with the procedure that I wouldn't want anybody to know. If you want the honest answer, so it's better that I go and deal with the person, then nobody knows.
Great. Thank
Sounds
you.
scary, doesn't it? I didn't mean
Great.
it like didn't mean it scary.
Thank you for your questions. Great answers. Have a lovely week. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
So,
Bye,
Curtis and Angie, good week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Today was different, wasn't it? It's very different.
Eddie, can I just congratulate those young kids that got their results? Also to my friend Grace and her daughter Nicole, who got some wonderful results. These kids, whatever you got, you can still turn it around. I think it's very important.
Stay positive, guys. Stay positive.
And I'm
Eddie,
so
can I
glad
just
you
say
said
it was
that.
a great pleasure to see your feet this week in Brixton.
Yes.
And I don't know how Lisa let you out the house with those feet. He wore flip-flops to Brixton, Angie.
Oh,
and
dear.
My feet have been abused over the years, and I took a picture of his feet and showed somebody, and they apologized to me for the abuse they gave me.
Curtis, did you have lunch? Did you two meet?
I haven't eaten yet, thank God. I
we
haven't
didn't
eaten
What
yet.
did you meet up to do, Eddie? Did you meet up to have lunch? Because you
No, I
taking us
swear.
to lunch.
Ask him.
No.
He walked
The
in and I
social
walked
media
out.
mafia.
You went to meet
Oh,
the
I
social
see. You
media man.
needed help with that.
Can I just end it 100%? We need to big up. I'm glad you said that, Angie. Taylor Swift this week.
Oh yeah.
There's a young woman who's come from Portugal. She's in Tottenham. She's got magnificent A levels. She didn't get the kind of thing that she wanted in order to go. She's done a GoFundMe page, and Taylor put £22,000 into that girl's
Fantastic.
account. Taylor, you are a person of the week. And as my mate Angie used to say way back on a Saturday, we salute you. You thought I never used to listen, didn't it? Curtis, God bless you, my brother. Next week.
Bye, Angie.
Okay, God bless. Take care.
All right, thanks very much. Thanks everybody for watching and for listening. Appreciate it. Certainly appreciate personally all the love that we've been getting, and me personally this week. Island Flavors, mention our name when you go onto their website. You get 10% off. Jill Nichols, please, just like her page, because I know nobody's traveling now, right? I understand, particularly not to Trinidad, right? But you know, just do that for me. And you could catch me and Curtis, just to tell you now, and Robbie on the 31st of August, Mastermind, the legendary mastermind.com. Sign up. It's on Twitch, it's on Zoom, it's on Facebook, but sign up. It's got Spoonie, Fifth Avenue, all sorts of other people in there, Pete Precise and the like. So it's going to be a fabulous few hours of carnival. Thank you very much to the boss. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you. God spare my life next week. Take care.